Okay. Uh, Normally, when we are conjugating with do, we can use do in a different way for insistence. That I will let you to know. For instance, if I'm saying, I want you to come on class next Tuesday, because we have not yet finished. Okay? Here, we don't need to put an auxiliary before the one. Understand? I want you to come for the affirmative form. But if I put do there, it's going to change the meaning of the sentence. If I say I do want you, grammatically it's possible. We can say it, but it will change the meaning of the sentence. Okay? Who can explain this situation? If I put do before the want, I put the do before the want, and I say, I do want you to be here next Tuesday, because we have not yet finished. Next Tuesday will be the 27th. Yes, it will be our last course. So we make a revision of grammar points, try to make assignments for understanding, to ask any kind of questions. So if you are not here, it will be complicated for you at the exam. Yes, because I'll give the small secret there. That very day. Yes. If you have missed all the class, but that very day, try your best to be here. Okay? So I do want you to be here next Tuesday. I do want you. What's the meaning of that? Not you.
French?
Yes, Mama?
In French?
No. No French. English.
Yes, I do.
I do want you to be here next Tuesday.
Okay. It means that for next week we have class.
Yes.
You
Okay.
want us to come on the class for Tuesday.
Okay.
Next Tuesday.
Okay. This is 1 minute. Sir.
I insist on emphasize.
Emphasize. I'm using a great word. Your vocabulary is rich. Emphasize. Emphasize in a form of insistence. I'm insisting on the word. I do want. I want you to be here. This is the normal expression. It's affirmative. But if I put I do want you, here the do is not an auxiliary, but it's a form of insistence. Okay? It's a form of existence.
Can you please translate it in French?
I should translate it in French.
Just your word.
I do want.
Can you?
You want me to translate into
Yes.
French? Okay, let me explain it more in English. Let me explain it more in English for you to understand. You see, when I say I want you to be here on Tuesday, this is normal. This is the affirmative form, okay? When we conjugate the affirmative form, we don't put the auxiliary there. It's what we do. We do all the time. If I'm going to the interrogating form, I can ask you, do you want me to be here? Okay? It's interrogating. I don't want you to be here. This means negative. But if I want to be more, let's say, I want to insist of the fact that I need you here on Tuesday, I put do before the want. Okay? This, the man said, emphasize. And it's a big word, but just want to mean you insist. Okay? I'll take a different example. In the Bible, Peter was asked by Jesus, Peter, do you love me?
Yes.
Yes, I love you. Okay? And he asked again, Peter, do you love me? Yes, sir, you know everything. You see, you know what is in my heart. So you know in my heart that I love you. And Jesus came again. Peter, do you love me? And Peter will be upset. You know everything. Okay? You know in my heart, if I'm lying, you know. And you come again, you ask me, yes, I do love you.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
Yes, I do love you, Master. You know everything. So it's a form of insistence. Okay? Good. So this, in the second video, we have this inside, but we don't have much time, so I'm not going to play it. Now we are going to talk about our TED Talks environmental issue, and we have something very interesting that we have to share together. And my colleague will be here to let you, to help you to understand. And the content of this video is very interesting. It's practical native American English, okay? And the man is speaking fluently and nicely, but fastly, okay? So since we have a native speaker here, he's going how fast to understand what the man is saying, because what he's saying in according to the pollution issue is very interesting. I myself, I'm finding it difficult to hear what he's saying, so this is why I asked. Yes, because I went deeply into it for me to be able to understand. So I want her to help us to understand what Mr. Doss is sharing with us about environment. Okay, but I love it. The issue is very interesting, and
this image of the Cuyahoga River on fire in northern Ohio became an icon of sorts of the environmental movement. It caught fire 15 times by 1969. After that, in the first Earth Day in 1970, some really great things happened for environmental protection. Congress passed the Clean Water Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the National Environmental Policy Act, the Endangered Species Act, and many others. We also established the Environmental Protection Agency, all that during a Republican administration. Those pieces of legislation did some great things for our environment and environmental protection. But they picked what I might call the low-hanging fruit. I'll let you know a little secret. Scientifically, it's pretty darn easy to fix a river that catches on fire. Stop pouring gasoline on it. The environmental problems facing humanity today are much more complicated, much more complex and insidious than a burning river. And their solution lies within our entrenched societal behavior. That's the sum of all of our individual behaviors. I learned something when my wife and I were fortunate enough to live and work in Yellowstone National Park. The park cops work in a division known formally as Visitor Protection and Resource Management. They told me that they knew their job was protecting the resources and managing the visitors. It's the culture, it's the people that need management. And that's exactly where we are today with our environmental problems. We're not going to solve these problems until we face the biggest threat, and that's us, our behaviors. I'm really lucky right now to be involved in research along a nearly pristine trout stream, the White River in Manistee National Forest in Michigan. I'm there because the Forest Service asked for some help. I'm on my lunch break in this picture here. The streams in west central Michigan they support trout, they support salmon spawning runs out of Lake Michigan, and they're sustained by groundwater. Now this is something that gets somebody like me, an environmental hydrogeologist, kind of fired up and excited. This is groundwater very aggressively flowing out of the stream bed. It's literally making that stream. It's that continual inflow of groundwater that maintains stable stream levels. It maintains cool, stable temperatures all year long. It maintains nutrient inputs to that stream. If that groundwater is threatened, then the stream is threatened. And if the stream is threatened, the trout and salmon are threatened. And if the trout and salmon are threatened, well, the $2 billion a year fishing industry in Michigan is threatened.
Do you guys know what groundwater is? Groundwater, it's fresh water coming from the ground, filling the rivers, fresh, and it stabilizes the river temperature. So it keeps the fish healthy. And if that's threatened, if you take water from one river, put it in that river, it can kill the fish because the temperature is different.
So why was the Forest Service concerned? Why did I go up there? Well, because Nestle's Ice Mountain Bottled Water Company drilled 2 test wells to extract groundwater from private property about 100 yards off the bank of the White River, the boundary with the National Forest, the border with your public land. Will pumping groundwater from adjacent to a trout stream threaten that stream? Absolutely. How much? Well, trying to measure that threat and assess those impacts were the scientific questions that the Forest Service wanted some help trying to answer. But let's move beyond the science. Why are those questions even being asked? Well, it's because our society has an addiction to little plastic bottles of water. 30 billion plastic bottles every year just in the United States. We consume non-renewable fossil resources to manufacture and transport and distribute those bottles. Single-serving plastic bottles generate an enormous volume of waste, the far majority of which is not recycled. And extracting groundwater for bottled water does pose very real threat to some aquatic resources. The only reason that those problems originate is because we choose to drink water out of little plastic bottles. We now have a thing called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Thousands of square miles between California and Hawaii, where human debris is trapped in a gyre, a very large circular ocean current. We might envision massive floating piles of garbage, but it's actually much more insidious than that. Most of it's tiny, microplastics suspended in the water column. Plastic beads from beauty products, raw material plastics for manufacturing, the broken fragments and shards from our disposable lifestyle. Diana Parker from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says if you tried to clean less than 1% of the North Pacific Ocean, it takes 67 ships 1 year to clean. Until we stop that debris at its source, it's just going to continue to congregate in those areas. There's very real damage from this and from all of our behaviors. Nearly every dead albatross in the Hawaiian Island regions has plastic in its gut, attracted to that plastic as if it were food. Many of them starve to death because their gut has no room for real food. This isn't debris from cruise ships. This is the stuff that runs downstream. It's the stuff that flows off of our continents from our disposable throwaway society. Water is at the center of many of our environmental problems, as it should be. Senator Barry Goldwater once said, a man from the West will fight over 3 things: water, women, and gold. And usually in that order. Water is environmental lifeblood. It's societal lifeblood. It's really amazing what we'll do to that which we need. Remember, we let a river catch on fire 15 times, and then we actually had to draft federal law to stop it. This is a noisy graph, and we'll talk about it briefly, but then we'll move on and we'll go beyond the science. This graph is showing the concentrations of synthetic chemicals in streams of the United States. The U.S. Geological Survey detected these chemicals in 80% of the streams that it sampled in our country. A third of the streams had 10 or more of these chemicals. They're in low concentrations, but scientifically, we don't really know what that means. We do know that they aren't removed by normal water treatment processes. What are the implications of exposure to low levels of testosterone and fire retardant in water? That's some challenging science. Do any of you want to volunteer for that clinical trial? Let's throw in some veterinary antibiotics and steroids and painkillers and opioids and plasticizers and insecticides. Now what? You know, fish and amphibians don't have a choice. They're in a clinical trial. We have detected intersex fish, male fish with egg cells, female-dominated fish populations in streams that are contaminated by estrogen. The problem of pharmaceuticals in our natural waters is a cultural problem. And it will only be solved when societal behavior changes. And in this case, that's when we and our livestock become less medicated. Science can't fix this problem. So we had a pretty cool total solar eclipse a couple of months ago. I had the really good fortune of traveling with a group of...
Okay, before he goes any farther, so the first segment he talks about is this river that catches on fire. It caught on fire 15 times. That's a lot. So they put gasoline on top of the river and they light it so that the river caught on fire. This was not on purpose. You know, some people might say it's on purpose, but it's usually not on purpose. But basically, the river had to catch fire 15 times for something to happen. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be an issue. So he talks about, you know, why do we take so long to take action? That's his first point that he really makes. Second point he's making is the water streams. He's talking about chemicals, antibiotics, pain medicine, all these things we get from a pharmacy that end up in a river stream, possibly. He's specifically talking about the United States, specifically. But those chemicals, the fish are affected by these chemicals. Men are carrying eggs. That's the women's fish job. They're supposed to have the eggs, but this medication has caused them to have certain different behaviors, which is dangerous. Fish could become endangered because of this, and that means less food source. Okay. Let's see what else he's talking about. He's talking about the groundwater, fresh water. That's good. It's great, marvelous. That's what keeps the river healthy. Now, if that groundwater is threatened, the river is threatened. The fish are threatened, and that means the fish will die. So all these certain things that are happening, the river catching on fire, the antibiotics, and the chemicals that are in the river can cause fish to become an endangered species. Okay, everybody get that? Any questions so far? Got it? Okay.
Are you sure?
Homeschool.
No?
Maybe they feel shy. They don't want to talk. She tried to summarize for you to get what the man said. But the summary itself, it seems that some of you
Yes.
understand. So I want to make sure if you hear what he said.
There is no difference between
Even the summary. You didn't get the summary.
At least he's
Oh.
honest.
Everyone is laughing, so do you agree with the Bible said?
Yes? Okay.
Okay, so let's try to understand. Let's try to understand. My people here says there's no difference between what you use here. Okay, so let's try to come back a bit on the issue, okay, to summarize as he said. The first part of the video is talking about the first part. What did you understand about the first part, she said? It's the people over there. The people here did not say anything. So I think those here, they caught something. So And try those guys here to understand the first part of the video, according to the summary this kindly gave us. Sir, you want to say something?
I have a summary of all the three parts.
Okay, but I need the first part, just the first part. Yes, ma'am.
Just want to try.
Try. We are here to understand.
The first part, the man explained the situation for the river. They didn't protect the river, and 15 times the fire disturbed everything before they take this position to work on it.
Okay? Okay? Is it the same like the Waterman? Okay, so you get something from what she said. Okay. Okay. You want to add something else?
First part,
The temperature of river rises.
Speak loud.
The temperature of river
Mm-hmm.
rising.
Okay.
And killing
Keep fishes. Uh-huh. Okay.
freshwater is most is rarely with
General Shava, he was talking about rising of the temperature. So take this information. Who else want to say something else? Something else that you understood according to the explanation, the summary that I gave. Yes, sir.
I want to continue what he said.
Yes, continue.
He said that temperature of the river is rising. Also, there is water, there is fresh water who came from the same river and try to maintain the temperature for the life of the fishes.
Okay. Water, which?
Yes.
Not food. Food
Yes.
for human being. Okay. Good. Yes, sir. You wanted to summarize.
Okay,
Can you
the
help us?
first part is about the river and increasing of temperature. And I noticed something very important is that if it continues to rise in temperature, the species, the fish are in danger. So for this reason, we have to change our behavior
Okay.
and protect
Okay.
the nature.
Okay. Change the behavior and protect the nature. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will just summarize the first part, saying that Romani is talking about environment problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we know that. We are talking about environment issues. Okay? Sir, you want to add something from your notes?
I'm not very clear, but what I noticed in the speech of this man is that to clean this part, even if it's a little part, they can use at least 6 to 7 ship for it, which is very serious.
Say it
Yes.
again, the man in the back that did not hear.
The man said that in his speech that to clean even a small part of the river, they should use 6 to 7 ships, which means that the river is more contaminated. Yes, contaminated.
Yeah, okay. Good.
So 1 out of 100% would take 67 ships. So it would take like
1 year.
Yeah,
One ship.
he said it 1 year.
1%. Yeah.
They're going to take about 1 year to clean the whole river.
7 ships.
This is not something easy to do. So it's complicated, more complicated situation. Okay,
Okay.
so we can keep on.
Yes.
Students, including our son David, to the path of totality. It was awesome. I knew exactly where to go and precisely when to be there in order for those kids in my family to see totality. I never heard anybody ever deny that this eclipse was going to happen. I never heard anybody say that this eclipse was just a big hoax. I never heard anybody say, oh, this eclipse is just a way for a bunch of geeky astronomers to get research funding. And yet I've heard all of those things said about climate change, said by our policymakers. Look, the methods and approaches that we use to know when and where we can go observe an eclipse are exactly the same methods and approaches that we use to detect climate change. We use those methods to describe past climatic conditions. We use those methods to quantify changes that are happening to our climate right now. And we use those methods to predict the trajectory of climate change given our burning of fossil fuels. Science.
Okay, so let's try and explain this. So, this gentleman took his wife and his son to go see this solar eclipse. So, something is rare in the sky, they can only see every so often, like thousands of years. So, what scientists use to detect when and where the solar eclipse will happen is the same equipment and experiments they use to test climate change. But the people don't question the solar eclipse information that they're given, but they question the climate change. So they're questioning basically, why should we believe you that we need to make a change on climate? Why, he's asking, why are you questioning, science when you don't question the same science, but with a solar eclipse? So,
Okay. Is it clear? It's clear? No? No? Okay. Madam in the middle, can you try to explain what you understand? You look at me, I'm talking to you. You? Yes? Uh-huh. Can you try to help others to understand?
She said
Okay.
that it's like there's a network.
Speak loud.
She said that the guy, the gentleman, as she said,
Yeah, Mr. Doss.
was with his wife and his son,
mhm.
and they had to try to understand how solar eclipse works, when and where it will appear, and this is something that is rare in the time. Like the same, way they can know where it will appear. The same way we can also work on that problem of water pollution as
Climate change.
climate change. So he's asking why people don't act the same way. I don't know whether I understood
Okay.
what I said.
Okay.
That's good.
Good. Yeah, thank you. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
It's okay? Someone wanna add something else? A little? You didn't understand what she said? You get little? Okay. One who wants to give a more explanation about what she said? She's not American. Okay? This is Ivorian accent. Yes, someone else want to help the mom to understand? Yes, sir?
I will try to explain
Yeah,
it
try.
clearly. Concerning the climate change, it's very important to understand this phenomenon. So she decided, the speaker advised us to use the same method concerning the eclipse, the solar eclipse, to understand solar eclipse, and to use this method in order to prevent the effect of climate change. For example, observe, and when we have enough data information about the phenomenon, yes, it's possible to say what kind of way we can use to tackle the changement of climate, the change of climate, and so on. Okay. So it is a question of method for me, sincerely, because there is a debate around this question of climate change. Is it true or false? But a study is necessary in order to prevent the bad effects of this phenomenon.
Simple, very bizarre.
Okay. So we have the images, okay? The image of the bird. So the image of the bird. Inside the bird, we have plastics material. See, so when you saw all those things, you can doubt at the beginning, but you will see that.
So this is the
We
plastic.
have all those things, plastic and many things inside the bird. The plastic will never change. You know the plastic in the ground. This is one of the problems in Africa. I've been using plastic all the time, but it's not only in Africa, but over there, they know how to transform it. When we have the plastic in the ground, it will take 400 years to destroy 400 years. That's why they change it, according to studies. Okay? So, if you have this inside the bird, it's not going to be transformed into food. Okay? To kill the bird. Okay? So, this is one of the, let's say, evidence that we can use to see that things are changing. Okay, let's keep on moving.
The Stockholm Convention of the early 2000s addressed the issue of persistent organic pollutants, POPs. Certain POPs like DDT impact animals' ability to metabolize calcium. And it was that biochemistry that led our national symbol, the bald eagle, to become an endangered species. In the 1960s, there were only 500 breeding pairs of the bald eagle in the lower 48 states of the United States. Now there's 10,000. Ironically, one of the very few countries that did not sign on to the Stockholm Convention was the owner of that national symbol, the United States. We degrade the resources that we depend upon. We unsustainably consume non-renewable resources, and we greatly enhance our exposure to risk by modifying global environmental processes. Science has, with integrity, described those threats to our environment. It's quantified the impacts of those environmental threats to our environment, and it's predicted future impacts from the environmental threats that we face. The solution to these problems is in societal hands at this point. We have the ability to solve these problems by modifying our individual behaviors. The solution is changing societal behaviors, which again is very simply a collection of our individual behaviors. So the solution, changing behaviors on a societal level, our own individual level, and that essentially equals our growth. Thank you.
Okay, so, lastly, he's basically saying science has only brought to the table, has only basically made us see what the problem is. And now what he's saying is now it's our responsibility as a person, individual, and as a society to make these changes, to fix it, to start cleaning up the mess we've made, you know? So, I guess whatever you want to add on that.
Yeah, that's it. The solution. The solution. Yeah.
Changing behavior.
Change in the behavior. It's not something scientific that we can do on computer. It's part of our responsibility and how to behave for things to change. Okay? And let's go to the next picture. Yeah. Sit down. Put this picture. Hmm. Okay, it's okay. Good. So what do you see on this picture? Raise your hand and speak. Yes, sir.
So many plastic.
What do you see on this picture? We are going to practice our auxiliaries. Okay? Interrogative form. What do you see on this picture? And I ask you the question at the present simple. Okay? So you use the present simple and give me a reply.
I see
Okay?
many plastic.
Many?
Many plastic bottles, many plastic toys,
Mm-hmm.
then this picture.
Okay. So, yes, madam?
I see dirty plastic near the beach.
Okay. Near the beach. Okay. Sir?
In the picture, I see water pollution.
Water pollution. Okay, you see water pollution. Okay. What else? Madam?
On the picture, I see a place very dirty.
Very
some,
dirty.
Some grass try to rise up.
Okay.
Some grass try to rise up.
She's talking. Try to rise.
Yes.
Okay.
To grow.
To grow. Okay. Grasses try to grow, but how are the grasses? How are the grasses there? How are the grasses? Yes, sir.
The grass is disparate.
How are the grasses?
Green.
No. How are? We are using our auxiliaries. Okay? We are using our auxiliaries. We started with auxiliaries in grammar, so we are using
The
the.
grass is up.
Okay?
Disparate.
Green. They are.
Disparate and green.
They are green. Okay? Are they green?
They are less green.
This is green. I'm talking about the grasses.
Yellow.
They are yellow. Okay, what does it mean?
Pollution.
It means that the grasses aren't very fine for me.
Okay.
Because
Are
normally
fine.
they should be green.
Normally they should be green, but they are yellow. Okay? And they are yellow. We see that the grasses over there near the boat, they are what? Dried. Yes. The grasses are dried. Okay? And what can cause this situation there that we see? Someone else? Yes, sir, in the back.
It means that the soil is poor, so the trees can't grow up.
They can't grow up. Okay. Why are they poor?
Caused by pollution.
Because of the pollution of the water. Okay, we have the grasses near the water. Normally they are fed up. They are fed up with water, so they should grow up and they should be green like what we see here. But all the grasses there are yellow. Okay. So because of pollution, okay, this is general word. What kind of pollution could it be? Yes, sir. Chemical. Okay, we see the old boat there. See, so people have been throwing chemicals in the water, and it is the result that we have. Okay, so how can we prevent this? Yes, you want to say something?
I wanted to add something. Just to say that normally when you talk about the beach, you see the sun. But
Yes.
here, instead of seeing the sun, you can see the plastic bottles instead.
Okay, you see? Okay. So we don't see the sand, but we see plastic bottles. You see? So that is at the beach. Normally, over there we see something like Sound where we have the yellow grasses, and we should see the same thing here, but we have those places here. Who knows the beach of Bassam? Okay, okay, out of us. So this looks like the beach of Bassam. In some places, we went there for environmental activity 2 years ago, and we did a cleanup. It was cleanup day. We did it on more than 2 kilometers. Yes, in Bassam. We saw those things in some places like this. So this environmental issue is not something only in the U.S.
No,
It's
This,
everywhere in the world.
This picture look like the place where we find by the past Onisi. There is a creek.
Ah, okay. Karina.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Looks like Karina. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. You want to say something, sir? No. Okay. So how can we solve this situation? Mala?
I think that one way is to use maybe sensibilization to push people to change their view.
Okay. Okay. You have to sensitize. Okay. This one. And what else?
A policy concerning education in school, citizen,
Okay.
the population.
Okay. Okay.
Sensibilize, education.
Yeah. Okay. You are talking about the school program to teach people, educate people about, yes, environment awareness. Yes.
We can recycle.
Recycle.
Recycle the bottle.
We can recycle the plastic. Okay. This is another issue. We reuse. Okay. Recycle, reuse. Okay. Yes, mother.
I think that they can stop to protect plastic bottles because if you use it more time, they can smell. So that you have to put them off.
Okay.
But the other bottle, you can use it anyway.
Okay. Okay. It's not easy to use the plastic bottles. Okay. Okay. The mom talked about personal behavior.
Yes.
You talk about personal behavior. I would like to focus on this aspect of it. I remember here in our country, a regulation was taken. A year ago. 4 years. Okay. That we should not produce plastics. The one they used to put water inside, to sell outside. It's not only the regulation was taken specifically for those kind of plastics and the sacket, the small sacket that people were using. Yes, they were using and they were putting water inside and selling out outside. It was prohibited for some years. But what happened?
Nothing.
What happened?
Continue to produce.
Yeah. We still have sockets in town.
Yes.
Okay? So nothing is done after the regulation was taken at the parliament. So the solution was not the regulation to be taken.
Yes.
Yes,
Because the
madam.
government doesn't follow the decision.
Okay.
They say don't use the plastic,
Okay.
but they don't. The government doesn't say to the industries. That's it. They not produce the plastic.
Okay, people are making money out of it. Okay? Yes, sir? You want to
I
say
think that
something?
it will be very difficult for any
Difficult.
government to
Okay.
really apply this kind of a ban
Okay.
from any government in the world. Because even if we cannot use a bottle, we make chairs with glue like this one.
Okay.
Plastic is always used
Yeah.
in any kind of government. So,
This
I,
is in
yes, in yours, okay.
Uh-huh.
For me, we cannot tell any society who produce plastic to not produce plastic. But we can put maybe some tank. And if you use your plastic, we can tell you, instead of put it on the ground, you can put it here.
Okay.
Then maybe create something to pick them up every day. It's, but for me, it's really very difficult. Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very
Yes.
difficult.
Yes.
Not only in Africa, everywhere.
I think that
Sorry, the first image that we saw, it was in Panama.
yeah.
The first image. But now we are in Bassam. And now,
Polish.
Sometimes I saw
Polish.
on television a woman coming from Benin who recycle plastic
okay.
sackets
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and sew dresses, dresses and bags
Okay.
and something we use always.
Okay.
Perhaps if they help someone like her to grow
In this kind of business.
okay and
Okay. Okay. To reuse the
yeah.
sackets and the plastic and all those things. Transformation. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. But also the reusing the plastic is not the final solution. After using it, where are you going to put it when it's full? It's coming back to the floor again.
Yes.
Okay. So the scientist Paul Doss insisted on the behavior. Yes, this is the most important part of the thing. You tell people, do not produce plastics. Industries. The owner of the company or the firm, this is where it takes much of his money. Okay, and I've been doing it for long. And just you come out and you say, don't produce it again. Say, okay, what am I going to eat tomorrow? This is what I've been doing for so long. Okay? So, if you want to stop me doing this, provide me any, let's say, solution for that. And the government is not ready to provide that solution for the guy. Say, okay, you see, I have to eat, and you stop me producing my plastics because we have industries in zones here, in Gong, here, and everywhere they used to produce this plastic long time ago. So before you asking them to stop, you should have another solution that I have to suggest them because they are living according to what they are producing. So you can't stop them doing that, and they'll follow you. It cannot work. Then to change the habit, this is matter of education. Okay, it's a matter of education. Like as you were saying, if you use the plastic, don't throw it away. And we have cabbage that the city or are put everywhere in the corner, everywhere you go, you see it there, and you put in the cabbage, people will come and take it for the company to recycle and the plastic. We can reduce, okay, we can reduce the effects, but it's not easy to stop it. We can't follow everyone. I watched one video on WhatsApp. I was very amazed when I saw it.
Policeman?
Yeah, a Ghanaian policeman. Oh, yes. And I was very touched by this situation. I think the man is a national from India.
Yes.
He was traveling in the car, yes, in the countryside. And he was having, I don't think it was a plastic or something like beverage that he drank, and he threw it outside. You throw it outside, and one policeman was not far from there. So he stopped the car, he followed the guy to stop him along the way, and he asked him to go back. And walk back in a distance of something, maybe 2 kilometers. Yes. To find the thing that you throw away, take it. And he talked to him. That is the way you do things in your country. If everyone driving a car used to throw things outside, you see how the road is going to become. Said the man, you talk to him. The guy asked forgiveness. Say, no, you took it. You learned the lesson. And I was very, very happy about that. And I was amazed. I said, this is a matter of education. The policeman is educated, and also the citizens also are educated. If you go in a crowd and you throw something away, you get someone to tell you, amen, take it. And this happened to me when I went there. You see, there was a garden, okay, like in Plateau.
Yes.
So normally you have to go around, but I was finding that it was too far for me to go around and pass. So I want to pass through the garden.
Yes.
So when I stepped inside the garden, someone was sitting far from me and, yeah, my man, Charlie, come. And he stopped me. He said, why you pass here this way? You shouldn't. And as I was begging pardon. And he wanted to take money. He wanted to take money from me. And another Ghanaian guy came and said, okay, Charlie, let him go. What is that? Okay? He did not know. I said, wow. So when I learned from the guy what he said, I said, oh, I have understood that here is not Abidjan. I can't do anything anyhow. Yes, absolutely. So I learned that those people there, they are educated about this issue of taking care of public business. Okay, so this we have to. This is a matter of education. Okay, I did it. He called me and he told me, "You don't have to do that." And when people are driving there, you see the drivers. They respect the distance of security, even when there is traffic. Yes, in Ghana, when you are driving, where we have the big traffic jam in Africa. I don't know Lagos, but Ghana, they have big traffic jam because they don't have many streets. The streets are and the streets are not very narrow. But they respect the distance of security when they are driving. It's a matter of education. Okay. So if people are educated about not to use plastic and put it everywhere, I think step by step people go. Here it's possible. It's possible. If you yourself, you are cleaning your house, okay? You are cleaning your house. It will be very difficult for someone, a foreigner, coming and step there and try to pass water there. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. And when you have a wall and you are not cleaning, so someone is passing by, it will find easy. If you want to stop to urinate, you will stop to urinate. But if you're outside of your fence is clean, you ask anyone to go there and urinate, you look at 2 times before trying to do that. You can do that in the night when there's no one, okay? But in the daytime, the place is very clean and neat. It will be very difficult for someone to clean. So it will start by every of us. Yes. Before asking the government to take decision or rule, they will take regulation, but the regulation will be applied on human beings. Okay, they themselves, before going there and sit in the parliament, take this. They are working in the streets to go there to the parliament to take the decision. So before going there, they should know that they should not have to throw anything in the gutter, okay, or driving their car, not taking anything and throw it away before going and sit there and take regulation. Okay, so I believe in the change coming from every individual. The change will come by and the change of mind. If we are not changing our mind, yes, if we are not changing our habits, our behavior, it will be very difficult for someone to be sitting there in the parliament taking decisions, you think it will work like this. No, it won't work. This, okay. All that we have to share today. We have finished our class, and we have 10 minutes more. If you have any questions, ask. But do know that our test will be in 2 weeks' time. Next Tuesday, we have class. Okay? We have class. But the next one, we have our test. Wednesday, not Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday. Not Tuesday, but Wednesday. Wednesday, September 4th. Yes. Yes, because Monday, I think it's non-working day here. So Tuesday, beginner will take their exam. Then Wednesday, it will be the time of intermediate. Okay, we get something like this. We get something like this, like TED Talks. You listen, you just, you see, it's not complicated.